Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at the 501st Legion Troopers, and we're going to be comparing it between the newer 501st Legion Clone Trooper set and the older ATRT set. Now, the first time we got a 501st Trooper in this set, it came out in 2013. It retailed for $20. Came with 3 minifigures. You did get a 501st Legion Clone Trooper, Yoda, and then a Commando Droid Captain, as well as a brick-built Sniper Droideka. Of course, this was inspired from the Clone Wars. Now, the newer version, 501st Legion Clone Troopers, as you guys know, is retailing for $30 here in the US. Came out this year in 2020, and it's been a pretty sought-after set, to say the least. Comes with 6 minifigures. We have 4 501st Troopers and 2 battle droids, as well as a Bark Speeder and ATRT. Now, I'll be doing a full video comparing and contrasting the different ATRTs, but today's video we're only going to be talking about the difference in minifigures, and we're going to be talking about what's different, what's similar, what LEGO did the same from the previous version, what I think LEGO improved, and most importantly, which version I think is the superior one. So here we have all 3 of the 501st Troopers. On the very left here, you can see the 2013 version. It is very important to know that all of the molds in terms of the shape and construction of the helmet is entirely the same. The helmets are actually built exactly the same in terms of the creation of it. It's just the printing that's going to vary between them. So you can see here, the first thing that I notice is that the eyes and the visor is constructed very differently. I think in the Clone Wars version, in the 2013 ATRT, it's a little bit less defined. It looks slightly more animated, which I guess is consistent given that it's based off of the Clone Wars, but the visor to me, comparatively from the old one to the 2 newer versions, just looks a little bit more animated. It looks like it's more directly from a show rather than from the movies or something like that. Now, I do believe that the newer versions of the 501st are said to be a mix between realistic and animated, so it's not quite like the Phase 2, maybe like the 212th Troopers realistic, but it's also not as animated as the 501st one we got from 2013. So they're like a little bit of a mix, which I honestly think looks pretty cool. Now, in terms of any other of the prints that are similar between the 2 versions, I think the only 2 things that I can notice, one being the blue stripe that goes right down the middle of the helmet, and then there's also some side printing, which looks to be fairly similar on either side of the helmet. Those little like dashes. Now, it definitely is worth noticing that the ventilators on the front of the chin of either of the troopers, it looks very different. On the animated version on the left, it looks more discreet. I think on the newer 501st Troopers, in terms of the ventilations on the chin, I think it's a little bit more obvious, which I actually kind of like. It gives it a little bit more of a realistic look to it, which I'm a huge fan of. The biggest difference between the 2 is on the sides of the cheeks, the printing on the helmets, there's like a little gray patch. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, to be honest. I think I prefer the printing without the gray, but other than that, I think I like the new ones far better. The only thing I would change is that gray printing on the side of the face, but other than that, I think the new ones are superior. Now, the next noticeable thing you guys will see, of course, is that between the 2 normal grunts, the normal 501st Troopers, excluding the Jet Trooper, the older one has blue arms and the newer one has white. Now, of course, realistically, it's a mix between the 2. The 501st Troopers have the shoulder pads, which are blue, and the rest of their arm is white, and then of course like the black gloves. I think white looks better. I think there's definitely more white than blue in terms of how it's portrayed in the films and the show, so I actually prefer the white version. However, I do suggest you guys pick up some of these Firestar toy arms. They're accurate to the films, which is great. They have a really cool battle worn shoulder armor plate, and then the rest of the arm, which looks fantastic. I do have a coupon code. If you guys want to use it, go check it out. Links down below in the description. Use coupon code BrickWiz15. You'll save 15% off. I think they make your army look a lot better, so I definitely think it's worth checking out, getting some of those custom arms. But in terms of factory standard, I think that the newer one with the white arms looks better. Of course, the Jet Trooper does come with blue arms, which I think looks fine. I think it's a nice way to separate and differentiate between the normal trooper and then I guess the Jet Troopers. So in that regard, I think it works fine, but I think I'm a fan of the white arms more. And now let's get on into probably the most important part, is the printing of the body. What's different? Like I said, it's just a Lego minifigure body. The mold and the shape is the exact same thing, but the prints are very clearly different. So let's take a look. So you can see immediately on the older version, the armor edges, I guess you could say, that go around the torso are a little bit more dark. There's a little bit of a larger shadow, which again gives it that sort of animated look, given it's completely based off of the TV show. You also notice the blue stripe is slightly more of a darker blue, I think, and it's also more skinny than what it is on the newer one. Now, I'm a fan of the newer version. I like when the blue marks go wider onto the chest plate. You'll also notice that on the newer minifigure, the chest plate seems to go a little bit lower than before. There's less of a divot in the middle of that large breastplate, and then the utility belt is a very different thing. On the older version in 2013, the utility belt seems to span the entire width of the Lego minifigure, but in the newer one it looks a little bit more small. It doesn't seem to be as large. I personally don't think that's an issue. In fact, I like the detail more on the newer version with the utility belt. You can see, especially on the pouches, there's a couple of different sort of shapes and sub shapes, but on the older version it's really just a couple of rectangles, and that's really it. Moving down below the torso, you'll notice another huge difference between the two minifigures. The 2013 501st Trooper does have black hips, and the newer one does have whites. This is something I prefer. I like the white hips better. I think it looks far better. I think it looks more accurate. Of course, that's entirely subjective, so whichever you prefer, definitely go ahead and do that. Black hips are super easy to come by, so you could always just swap them off if you really wanted to put black hips on the newer minifigure, but I like the white ones. I think they look a little bit more clean. And then moving down towards the legs, you can see very different styles. What I love about the new Troopers is we finally have feet printing on the very front of the feet of the minifigure and the legs. You can see here there is some great printing. Present the boots that the 501st Troopers would be wearing. In terms of the knee pads, it looks a little bit more accentuated on the newer version. It's larger, which I do like. And then you can see on the very top here, there's like two little, I guess, dark gray print pieces, I guess, for the hips, which I think looks far better. Again, compared to the all black piece for the hips, I think having that little print there is more accurate and better. And lastly, as you move towards the back of the minifigure and the printing back of the torso, I think generally there's not too much to discuss. I think it's obvious that the 2013 version looks more discreet, it's more animated style, and the newer one just has more detail. Look in the back of the utility belt, all that kind of cool stuff. I think it actually is worth mentioning too, comparing the older version to the new Jet Trooper. For instance, the helmet looks far different and superior in my opinion. I love the red accents and the blue accents on the top of the helmet. And then the only main difference with the Jet Trooper comparatively to the other ones is just the amount and detail of printing of blue. There's a lot more blue, but in terms of the breastplate, the utility belt, the knee pads, the feet printing, all that kind of stuff, it's exactly the same. But I think the helmet is really where this minifigure shines. Now, the last thing I want to mention is, of course, new heads. We've been used to getting the flesh-toned angry clone face, whether it be animated or realistic, but we are finally getting a little bit more of a darker toned minifigure head, which does look more accurate. Now, I honestly didn't really care, to be honest, what head we got. So in the end, which one do I think is better? I gotta say, I love the newer versions better, and it's growing on me a lot more. When it first got released and the images first came out, wasn't sold on it entirely, but once you have it in your hand, I feel like it looks more sleek, it looks more professional. I think it looks far better than the older one. So I gotta say, the newer version, set number 75280, this guy, I think this guy's better. But of course, guys, down below in the comments, let me know what you think. Do you have an existing army of these? Is it worth buying more of the newer ones just to get the new minifigures, or are you gonna stick with the older 2013 version? I'm interested to see what you guys think. So let me know down below in the comments. Of course, subscribe down below with the bell icon on. That way you guys don't miss any future videos. And of course, lastly, if you guys did enjoy today's video, drop a like down below, and I will see you later. Take it easy. Peace.